Today we're going to be creating this, which is a super fun, pretty text effect in DaVinci Resolve, and there's going to be two parts to it. One is the animation, and second is the look. However, if you do want to save some time and support a DaVinci Resolve creator, Ristal has just come out with a new text animation tool that is incredible. And it's incredible for a few reasons. For one, it comes with all of these presets that you can just go ahead and drag and drop and put them on your timeline. So if I wanted to, I could take something like this, type in hello there, and within 2 seconds, you have a really pretty looking text preset that animates in and out. But the best part is actually this guy right up top here. See, this is the workhorse of TypeFlow. I can drag and drop this in. Let me go ahead and just change the font real quick. We'll go ahead and add on some styles like our gradient. And let's say I want to swap out the animation style. So instead of sliding up, I can uncheck that, check on zoom. And again, now we have some really clean animation with all of 2 clicks, but here's the best part. Let's say I want to do some captioning or some subtitling. Well, it's designed to work with all of the captioning tools in mind, so it works seamlessly with something like auto subs. The tool itself is incredible, and you can use Wampus at checkout for 50% off. Thank you again, Ristal, for sponsoring today's video. But if you didn't want to make your life easy, how would you go ahead and do this yourself? Well, let's go over to our Effects tab. We're going to want to start with a title, and we want to start with a text plus title, not text, not multi-text, text plus. Go ahead and drag and drop one of those guys on the timeline. Now I'm working on a 1080p 30 FPS timeline. Does that matter for you? No, just, keep it in mind with timings and such. In order to get the animation that we'd like, we're going to have to use Fusion. Go ahead and click that magic wand and hop into the Fusion page. Now, if you're brand new to Fusion, do not fret, little one. I'm going to try to hold your hand through the process, but this is not necessarily a beginner-friendly tutorial, so you know what you signed up for when you click this video. I'm going to go ahead and type in some sample text here, and I'm going to change my font. Again, I've still just been using Josephine Sans. I like it. I feel like it's pretty. So first things first, I'm the realist, and we need to get our word-by-word animation set up. To do that, we need to add a special little modifier to our text, because if you try to do any keyframing, as is, it moves everything. So we need to figure out a way to split up the wording here. So I'm going to go back to the text tab here, and I have my template node selected. This is what controls all of the properties here on our text. And this is the reason why we use a text plus node, because it gives us access to all of these settings. So with my template node selected, what I want you to do is go over to the text box itself, right click, follower. Now, at first, nothing happens, but we now get this little orange keyframe on our text box. And up in the upper right-hand corner, we now have our modifier tab unlocked. Go ahead and click that. So if this is your first time using a modifier, these are kind of like advanced tools / settings that we can use in Fusion. It's what makes Fusion so cool. And our first sub tab in our follower modifier is our timings tab. Let's go ahead and add a 5-frame delay. This is not seconds, this is frames. And again, if I scrub through here, nothing happens. Well, that's because we haven't animated anything yet. Now, you see, animating word by word is still kind of funky in DaVinci Resolve. And the main reason is that if you've tried this, you know that the delay type and the order is set between characters and not words. So to get to words, we need to go over to the transform tab. The reason being is that in this tab, we have this dropdown that says characters, words, and lines. So you bet your buns, we're going to go to words. And once we do that, now we can begin to animate one word at a time. So I'm going to go to, frame 12. We can always change the timings if we need to. I'm going to check a keyframe on our offset. You might have 2 questions from here. One, why do I go forward and check on the keyframe before starting a keyframe at the beginning? I like to work in that order. I feel like it's easier to go to the ending point and then back to the beginning. Just makes sense to me. And the second is, what the heck is this path thing right here? Anytime you keyframe motion in the Fusion page, it generates a path variable. This tells the text, hey, this is what you need to follow. We don't need to worry about that. So just click back to the follower tab. Now we can scrub back to the beginning and drag our offset down. Now I'm not going to go completely out of frame here. I'm just going to drag it down to, it looks like it says -0.175. And when I scrub forward, voila, we have one word and then the other. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. So I'm going to scrub my playhead until this hello message is close to being done. And then I'm going to go back to timings. And then I'm just going to decrease the delay until I can get the word there off the ground. There we go. So let's go let's do something nice and even at 1.5. So now if I were to hit play, bang, bang, hello there. Perfect. So that's the hardest part of figuring this out. Now we get to make it look and feel good. First step first, let's go ahead and smooth out our animation. I have my spline menu open up here. It's this option in the upper bar. And by default, you should have the displacement checked on, meaning how much has our text moved. If I hit Control A to select our 2 points, F to flatten them, so I'm flattening the handles here, I can then drag this bottom handle up to ramp our animation in and out. So what this graph means is we're going to go quickly in and then slow down on the way out. So now if I were to hit play, boop, very nice. That's kind of what I'm looking for right there. Alrighty. Problem 2, I don't know if I necessarily want our text hanging out at the bottom here before it animates in. So how do we solve it? There's 2 ways of doing this, and none of them are fantastic. One would be to do something like this, and you could drag in a rectangular mask, connect it to the mask input of our template node, and then voila, it will hide the text until it comes into frame. I could even do something like add a little soft edge to a rectangle so that it blends in as it comes in. Now, I moved quickly there because that's not the method that I would like to use, because the problem that you'll run into is what happens when I want to change the text size or the position, right? Then you kind of have to move the rectangle around. So if you don't want to use the rectangle method, this is where things get weird very quickly, because the problem is that anything that is not linked to this transform property over here, or we have this words drop-down menu, will not animate in word by word. So if I were to go over to the shadings tab and check on opacity, go to the beginning, turn it off, you'll see we get 1 letter at a time, which is a cool effect, but not the one that we're going for. So let me reset that real quick. Here's what we're going to do. And again, it's going to be weird. I'm going to select our template node, hit Control C to copy it, and then you can either right click and hit paste instance or hit Control Shift V. And this creates an instance of our node, which is an exact copy duplicate, except they are linked. So you can see this little umbilical cord. So anything I change here changes here as well. So even though I don't have my instance node connected in any way, if I go over here and type in whatever we want, it also updates the text here. So we're going to use this instance to mask out and hide our template node. Stay with me now, because again, it's going to get weird. With our instance node selected, what I would like you to do is go over to the shading tab. On shading element 1 on the enable tick box, right click and de-instance that enable option. Again, I'm being very specific here that we're on the enable option. Right click, de-instance, so that I can uncheck that property and it doesn't affect our first node. Now we've unlinked it. We're going to go over to element number 5. Why? Because the other 4 have presets on them. Right click again on enabled, de-instance. So that way it's unlinked and I can check it on and it's not going to affect our original text. To preview what we're doing, I'm going to close the media pool. I'm going to click the viewer split right up top here. I'm going to hit 1 on our instance node, or you could just drag it up here to see what we've got going on. And would you looky there? Now mine's kind of set up this by default because I've done this before. So if yours isn't, what you need to make sure you're doing on element number 5 is on the appearance, change this to border fill. And this next part is crucial. So pay attention right here. Level word. That's a big one. That is the one that we really want. And then adjust your horizontal extends until you get some gaps in between the word, and make sure your vertical is big enough so that it's going to cover all of your text. So I might just go a little bit bigger just to be safe. Now, if I scrub forward and backwards, there we go. They're both animating in. We've got some nice little word blocks. So here's what we need to do. We need to fade in our opacity on these word blocks. So I'm going to go over to the modifiers tab on, I think this would really work on any node, but I'm just, I have my instance node selected. Go over to the modifiers tab. We're going to go over to element number 5. Now, it doesn't matter if you check this on or not here, just because, again, followers, word by word stuff is just so weird in Fusion. So don't worry about that. What I'm going to do is we're going to keyframe now our opacity. So I'm going to go over to frame 12, keyframe, go back to the beginning and keyframe our opacity. And now at the beginning, I'm going to turn it off. So if I've done this correctly, our block should fade in one at a time. And the key for this to work, even though we're not using the transform tab and words, is that on our tools option, the level that we set this element to was word. That is the key. So if you didn't do that, that's probably why you have problems. And there we go. So now we're going to tell this node to hide our words one at a time. And it's going to work something like this. Output, let me zoom in, of our instance node into the mask input of our template node. Right there. So it should now feed into the blue input. And now if I scrub back to the beginning, our words fade on one at a time. Now, if you want to with the spline menu, you could go over here and adjust the smoothing of your opacity to be whatever you'd like so that it fits the tone that you're going for. But now we have true word by word animation. All right, so the next step is we're going to make this pretty. But a common question I get for something like this is, well, how do I sync this up to dialogue? You can't. You don't. If that is something that you want to do, again, I'd recommend looking into Ricestole's type flow. It's not an automatic sync, so you can't link it to your dialogue in any way, but you have control as to the timing of each word. Because as is, the speed at which this will animate in is totally dependent on our timing delay. So let's go ahead and make this look a little bit better. With my template node selected, I'm going to go ahead and collapse our window here because we don't really need that other preview. I'm going to go ahead and add a gradient to our text. So I'm going to go to the shadings tab, go back to element number 1 over here, and I'm going to change it to a gradient. Now I like nice and subtle gradients. So I'm going to click the white menu and let's do a nice blue. I like blues. Yeah, something like that. That works for me. Copy the hex code down here, Control C, because I'm going to go over to the black color here, paste that in, and I'm just going to make it a smidge darker, about yay dark. Now, if you're not seeing the intensity of the gradient that you want, just bring in these arrows here until they're a little bit more condensed, but that looks fine enough to me. To be honest, it really doesn't matter all that much. Now we can beautify it. One thing that's kind of fun to do now is there's a new bevel node in version 21, and I don't know if this is available in the free version. So if not, just skip this step. I'm going to go ahead and add in our bevel node. I'm going to change the drop down to box. Whoop, and change the bevel size to be pretty stinking small. Yeah, 0.2. And change the height as well. Yeah, somewhere right in there. I'm at 0.2 and 0.0006. Now, I'm going to go over the light tab and I'm going to move this light position to be the upper left. And then I'm going to go to the blend and decrease that blend because I don't want it to be so dark. And there we go. Just adds a nice little embossing on the corners. Next step, let's add some glow. Now, there are so many good glows, macros, tools, presets for DaVinci Resolve. So I would highly recommend you look into some because there's a lot of free ones out there like Dream Glow from Scape. This is the one that I always recommend everybody use and download because I just think it looks really good and it comes in nice and pretty. If you don't want to use something like this, another easy alternative is to just use a couple soft glows. And if I didn't mention already, you can hit Control Space to bring up your tool menu here. So that's Control or Shift Space or Command Space. So I'm going to add in a soft glow. And the trick for building out glows is to kind of layer them. So start with a good amount of gain and decrease the glow size. So I'm going to write around 2.5 and a glow size of 0.8. And then if I hit Control C on my soft glow and paste it in, well, now I can decrease the gain and increase the glow size. Yeah, something like that. And then you can repeat this process as many times as you want with as much gain and glow strength as you want to really build out this effect. So I like something like this. Yeah, so on the last one, I'm right around 0.2 and glow size of 25. I select all these nodes and hit a nice Control P a little before and after. It's kind of nice. So what if you wanted to add a drop shadow? Well, if you go to the template node and try to add in a drop shadow here, problems, because this shadow property isn't linked to any of the follower modifiers that you've set up and done, right? So this element isn't associated with any animation we've done on our follower tab. So if you wanted to add a drop shadow, you got to add a drop shadow node. So after our soft glow, I'm going to hit Control Space to bring up our drop shadow menu and add in a drop shadow. There we go. A little before, after. There's a few optional changes that you could go ahead and implement depending on your style. One would be to add flicker. I'm not going to, but that would be Control Space Flicker Addition. This will have it kind of flicker on and off. You can see it happening there. I'm not a big fan of that, so I'm going to turn it off. The other one that we could add is some stop motion. So if I look for stop in our tools menu, add that in and change the frame repeat to 2. This halves our frame rate inside of Fusion, so it makes it feel a little bit more meaty as it animates on and off. And the last one that I might turn on is with my template node selected. If I go over to the settings menu and turn on motion blur, increase the quality to 10. This will severely slow down your playback, but it's going to add some of those blurring frames as it moves up onto frame. So it's going to look something like that. That's not bad. The very last thing I would do regardless is at the end of this, I would add in a color corrector node. The reason being is that if for some reason I wanted to change the color of our gradient at some point, well, I could just go over here and shift the hue around. And oh, that pink's kind of fun. I like that. Because otherwise, if you try to, shift the gradient in the shading tab, it's just difficult. So now if we go back to the edit page, and I'm gonna let this cache for just a moment, we've got a very simple, clean, pretty word-by-word animation. And the last thing you'll want to do is drag this up into your media pool so that you can drag it back down and have it at any point on your timeline. Voila, there you go. Hope this was helpful for you guys, and be sure to go check out Typeflow in the description, and I'll catch you all in the next one.